Mir and Giacomo, thank you very much for coming in to speak to us. It's always special to have people in person in the studio, so thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
We were talking before, you guys have been in Prague many times, right?
Yep.
What was your first experience in Prague?
I don't actually remember the first time. Oh yeah, probably for the Parallel Police conference. Aker Congress, yeah. Yeah, I was here and I was like enjoying the center of the city. I was super surprised because I knew that Prague was amazing, but coming here, oh my God, majestic and beautiful. The river, it was fall, if I remember correctly, so all
yes,
the colors.
October,
yeah.
probably, yes.
And of course, I was also fascinated by the fact that there were hardcore cypherpunk here, crypto anarchist, and that
masked people, faceless people in the conference, not very usual, even in Bitcoin conference.
Yeah,
this was more hardcore.
Yeah, and they were accepting Bitcoin for coffee at the time. I probably paid for the first time with a Lightning transaction there. I don't remember, for a burger.
Which year was that you paid with Lightning?
I pay for a burger at the conference, inside the conference.
Yeah, inside the Aker Congress.
And I remember I am like talking about Lightning out.
The year was, like...
17? Not too
maybe
early.
18, 2018.
18? No, I was pregnant, so 17.
Oh, that was very early for
It was kind of early, and I realized, oh my God, I never done it before. But I preach about Lightning all the time, so I don't want to screw it up. But I remember there was probably around, there was Peter and you were like, exactly like me. And so I felt like, okay, this is very new, and everything was
new
fine.
For everybody.
Yeah, it was new for everybody.
We were using Eclair wallet.
Yeah, probably. I don't remember.
The only wallet working back then.
Yeah. Yeah, so plenty of nice memory, also Bitcoin memories and Lightning memories here.
Was it also your first time as well in Prague?
No, for me, I already had come before for Students for Liberty political stuff, so I was the second. Then I came a little bit more often because she skipped a couple of Aker Congress, and that's just it, basically.
Yeah.
I think I came here a couple of times more than you.
Yeah.
It sounds like you were both very interested in, I guess, not politics, but the politics of freedom quite an early age, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Yeah, especially Giacomo. I mean, he was really into politics and this stuff. I was like, I am more probably on the, I know they are very connected, but I'm more on the human right part and freedom for people, while politics kind of bother me. Just like people arguing on stuff, while Giacomo is more passionate about, right?
I think that for me is the other angle. I don't care for people that much.
Oh, come on, Giacomo.
Less than her, but I really care for logical consistency. And I find most political and ethical discussions logically inconsistent, and that triggers me a lot. And so I started to research into ethics and politics, searching for consistency, and I found the libertarian position as mostly as a rational path. So I started to read Austrian economics, libertarian ethics, Rothbard to Hoppe to everything like that. And then after I committed to the logics of it, I started to also feel like more the, let's say, the activism kind of passion, but on the second...
Activism with the H?
Well, back then, not really activism, it was traditional. I started, I went to an Italian Tea Party event when the US you had the Tea Parties protesting against taxation. A guy from Prato in Tuscany decided to do an Italian Tea Party because he said if the Americans are protesting against 30% of the tax rate, we are 70%, what do we have to do? So I went there mostly to meet a couple of libertarian activists, Leonardo Facco, Giorgio Fidenato, and so we met with these guys. Then he came to Milan because he was invited to speak in national television about anti-tax protests, but he was shaking and he could not go on with the interview, so he just handed me the microphone and I did the speech just impromptu, just improvised. And so I discovered that I was able to speak in public without any...
Actually, it's your comfort zone. this is really surprising because usually people has a stage fright or whatever. For Giacomo, it's just really
I didn't. That part of my brain was just broken, so that's not good because if you are in front of many people, you are supposed to feel scared because everybody's looking at you. I didn't have that part of my brain, so I started to go in national television. I debated with the Prime Minister in 2012, something like that.
Yeah.
Looking for a secure, trusted way to buy, sell and hold Bitcoin? Gemini has been leading the way since 2014. Founded by the Winklevoss twins to be a security-first, fully regulated Bitcoin platform. With Gemini, your Bitcoin is protected with enterprise-grade security, backed by insurance and Type 2 certifications for SOC 1 and SOC 2. Whether you're new to Bitcoin or a long-time hodler, Gemini gives you the tools to stack sats and build generational wealth your way. From simple one-tap buys to advanced charts and trading features, it's all here. Buy, sell, and hold securely. That's Gemini. Gemini. Bitcoin with confidence. Need cash without selling your Bitcoin? With DeBiFi, you borrow against your Bitcoin, non-custodial, multi-sig escrow, and you keep your keys. No banks, no selling, just institutional grade liquidity with terms up to 2 years and APRs as low as 9%. All transactions are signed using private keys on your own device. Using a 3 of 4 multi-sig setup, 3 out of 4 keys must approve every transaction, giving you control, transparency, and peace of mind. Whether you're a hodler, miner, small business, or treasury team, DeBiFi gives you the cash you need now without giving up your Bitcoin upside or triggering a taxable event. Get liquidity, keep exposure, and stay secure. That's DeBiFi. DeBiFi, your Bitcoin, your money.
Which Prime Minister?
Mario Monti.
Okay.
I was basically fighting against Mario Monti and lots of prime
that
time
was
exposure.
Viral in Italy. It was
Very
viral. Cool.
And then I realized that it was completely useless. I was having fun, but I was not changing anything. It was lobbying politics, it was impossible. We took the pledge from the American for Tax Reform Association, which is basically something you give to politicians running for office. They have to sign, they will never vote for a tax increase or a spending increase. They signed it, then they violated it, and we got some news coverage for the signing, but nothing for the violation. So we were not able to enforce anything. People didn't care. It was normal for politicians to lie. So I was blackpilled about that. And then it was actually Mir, when I discovered Bitcoin in 2012, December, after a few months of obsession. In that case, I was really obsessive. And she came to me and she said...
I love to remember the exact moment. Because I was doing my PhD, so I was writing on my computer, and out of nothing, Giacomo was talking about Bitcoin and explaining Bitcoin to me. And then I stopped and I told him, I think you should quit your job because Bitcoin is at an intersection between politics and technology. And I think, you're not getting paid by politics, but you love that. Technology is your job, but it's not exactly what you're doing.
It was boring. I was complaining. I was complaining about political activism because it was pointless, and about my job because it was boring. I was a technology consultant in Accenture.
Natural to me to tell you, it was super clear, Giacomo, this is intersection of what you want to do, and quit your job and do this Bitcoin thing. I don't care, we are already poor and we have nothing to lose at this point of our life. We were just married probably 2 years ago, and go for it. And he listened to me.
Same the day after, I just sent my resignation, and I did it.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask, because it's usually, look, this space is almost 90% men, right? My Twitter analytics, my Instagram analytics shows 85, 90% men, 10%. And it's usually some guy becoming obsessed with Bitcoin and losing his girlfriend because
plenty typical. Of this story,
Or wanting to dedicate more of himself, but having to maintain his job because of his obligations to his family or whatever. What is it about you and that you saw in Bitcoin or in Giacomo that you thought, I have to support this guy?
Well, I mean, I think I'm wired differently. I always have majority of my interests are male interests. So tech is a passion of mine since I was little. So to me, it was really fascinating to hear about Bitcoin. It was great at explaining to me Bitcoin very briefly, and I was like, "This is very logical to me. This is a bet, but I want to see him happy, and I support him in that." But I was doing my PhD in completely different field, in musicology. I used to be a vocal coach and a singer doing that, and so I was like, "This is something great, but it doesn't relate to me directly." So I only wanted for him to feel like happy during his everyday life. But then Bitcoin came again for me.
Which is a point that I think is very important, because even if being supportive to me was great and it was something rare and not given for granted, but if she didn't come back to be interested in Bitcoin, maybe our relationship will not be as deep today, because we realized also with some common friends that when you get so deep into Bitcoin, like now most of our friends, they are Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
All our travels are Bitcoin travels to Bitcoin conferences. My job is Bitcoin. My free time is also Bitcoin. Our savings are Bitcoin. Our main paranoias, obsec worries are about Bitcoin. So coming back home to explain something that crazy to your wife or your husband, it's just he or she could not understand.
So that level of dedication may have been a wedge, you're saying, that maybe
could be, and we have seen it being a wedge inside couples, and it could have been the same if not for the fact that she came with me to New York because she was doing a PhD research in musicology at the Met Library, and I was doing the Consensus Shitcoin conference, and she was doing her stuff.
But of course, we were together, so there were some intersection between our schedule.
And just say, come to dinner with us. Come to dinner with me and the crazy guys.
Yeah, I met Bitcoiners, so everything changed to me when I met
with
Bitcoiners.
Adam Beck, the co-founder of Ledger, Nicolas Bacca, and
there were the Joseph Poon
and Tadeusz Ria
from
Lighting Labs.
And so I met the real Bitcoiners that were so passionate about everything. I wasn't understand a single word of what they were telling to us, but I immediately experienced something, an energy completely new, a vibe completely new. And this is something that I tend to say a lot, but it's true. In that moment, I realized, oh my God, this is history in the making, and I want to be part of it. In a way, I can, whatever, if I can help in a very small way, I want to help this movement because this is too big. And so basically after some time, I also quit what I was doing.
After 2 months, basically.
Yeah.
She came to me, she asked, can I work for you? Because it was, and she didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to ask her.
No.
But she started to help in general, and then she became the pillar of the whole activity.
Yeah, I was like not sleeping because I wanted to catch up with all the things I had to study. So I was like 24 hours awake and
no
studying.
Kids back then.
Yeah, no
so
kids.
It was possible.
So I'm sleeping even more now than back then. But yeah, I wanted to catch up with everything, and technology has always been and computer science a passion of mine, but I didn't decide to do at the university, but that was my occasion to come back to that part too and also learn something new and also make a difference, because I was stuck at the university, PhD level, but I didn't see any future from there. Even if I was good, I was loving what I was doing, but it's just like university, it's just like university. And so I was there, very humble. If you need somebody to do like the most trivial thing, I will help with them. And just like I would go into like bring pizza, and I'm going to organize the meetup. It was a very small meetup. It ended up I organized
the biggest meetup in continental Europe.
Yeah, we ended up organizing the biggest meetup at the time.
From
50.
10 people every week to a couple of hundreds when we had Antonopoulos.
It grew like a lot, and I never organized an event in my life. So, but there weren't people doing that, so I was like, I'm going to learn doing it, and it was successful. We created a community in Milan. We have done a lot of things during those years. We really made a difference.
And she did as well, so much so that now I was forced more recently to beg her to come back to do what she was doing in Milan to Lugano as well, because we are doing another thing, and we really need her.
And I was like telling people, no, because the quality of my life is amazing. I have 2 kids. I am doing some freelance for some Bitcoin small projects. I am on the board in good Bitcoin project. I have my equilibrium. But unfortunately, I decided to...
Bitcoin needed you once again.
Yeah, it was like...
Every time you think you're out.
Yeah, I just like... Giacomo told me, come the Lugano co-working, work out from there.
Yeah,
there is a good
the
gym.
tribe was the gym. So she wanted to go to the gym, and so I said, we have a gym in the Plan B hub.
She's rolling her eyes. What kind of gym was this?
It was just a gym, but then she started to meet people, which is her weakness.
Yeah, my weakness are people,
she meets
definitely.
Bitcoiners, and then she just...
Yeah, I stayed there after the session at the gym, and I was there hanging out with people, and starting doing things for free, and then
and she meets the Blockstream people that we used to work with in Milan. Some of them moved to Lugano. Then there is Vincenzo working for Ocean. They start to talk. That there is Tiero working for Arc Labs, and they start to talk. Then she meets again Nicola Bacca from Ledgers.
Yeah, he's always around. Come on. When I decided to
people that we were
not
really meeting very often since 2018 when we closed down the Italian operation. She started to meet them again.
Yeah, I kind of spent from 2018 to right now, the last month, doing very small project and like focusing on my 2 kids. And I was like kind of happy, but I felt that I wanted to do something more. But as I was saying, my quality of life was like very balanced. But I decided during the last 2-3 months to just switch back at doing things for Plan B Network, because it's really exciting. And also Giacomo, he wants to retire.
No, I'm tired.
He's tired. I am full of energy at this point. So
passing the baton, right?
Yeah. He wants to stay home a little bit more with the kids, and I think you trust me. So it's just like
you are among the very few people that can do what I will do, and so you will replace me, and I'm happy.
Well, let's discuss a little bit more about that. But the idea is just like recreating what we had in Milan,
with some added complexity, but also so just to clarify, what we did back then was basically this: I quit my job. Then I started to co-found Bitcoin startups, but there were no revenue models. It was terrible. Like I co-founded Green Address, which is what is now Blockstream Wallet with Lawrence Naum. And then I was talking with investors, and they were asking, "Do you have a patent?" No, it's all open source code. And then my Lawrence, the CEO, was saying, well, actually, we have some secret code in the server, but I'm going to release it very soon. Okay, do you harvest some data from the user we can use? No, we have no data, total privacy. And then he was saying, actually, there is something we can understand, but I'm fixing it so that we know nothing. So no business models. So in order to sustain everything, I was going to teach Bitcoin as a consultancy to banks, insurance companies in Italy, investment groups. And I was teaching, getting the money, spending all the money to keep the Bitcoin startups alive, and so back and forth. So we met a very good investor, one of our clients, Cristiano Sclapon. He spoke to me and told me, Giacomo, this is your business model. Just do that. Rent a place. You take money from institutions to teach them Bitcoin. You invest this money to get the best brains in from all over the world. So we started to do that. We paid for travel, food, accommodation, office space. We hired 13 people, with the mandate to help these guys in any way, from legal to coding to personal psychological support to everything.
That was me.
That was mostly here.
Yeah.
And so these people were flying in, doing Bitcoin stuff. So the bold standard for Lightning was created in our office. The open timestamp standard that was used by Guatemalan government was created in our office. The RGB standard was created in our office. So we started to create stuff by just getting Bitcoiners together, paying for them and caring for them, and in exchange we asked them full access to the information, so just to teach us what they knew, what they were doing, and we were extracting, packaging, and selling this information. That was a very profitable business, not scalable, but profitable. Yeah. And when we closed it down in 2018, we were exhausted, because it basically entailed us to, especially, she was a trusted anchor for these people. I was more perceived like the business guy. Eventually we built friendships and trust, but I was a little bit suspicious to them. While she was very trusted, so people were actually really relying on her. So we were all the time in the
Yeah, you
in the
were
hub.
more corporate, and I was the one like.
Accessible,
yeah,
friendly.
but we were having the best time. Like I was hanging around for trips, like climbing, doing the fun stuff actually. But you bond over that. You bond over that, and
food, very good. A lot of free time, and I was doing bureaucracy in the office.
Yeah, definitely I had best time than you. But the point is, I really believe that the best innovation, the best time also for business happened during this moment. I'm Italian, and of course there's always some food involved. Well, the best discussion, the mind is just like open. So for me, being physically in the same space and also have some food or doing some free time activity, some leisure or some trips around nature is more important than stay all day long in just like a physical space discussing, or even digitally. That's really not how things and brain tend to work together.
So 1 year we went from a meetup with 10 people to organizing the second Scaling Bitcoin conference with Adam Beck, Andrew Polstra, and Roger Ver, and everybody in Milan, and we were the organizers of that. And again, basically organizing the meeting to create Bitcoin standards. It was an incredible ride. Basically spring 2018, she was very pregnant, very close to delivery, and we realized that it was impossible to keep on, and we failed completely to create delegation. So it was
based
about
on us.
So if we stopped, it was closing down. So we closed it down.
Even the meetup, I was supposed to just like, come on, it's a meetup. You only have to organize the meetup. There is a brand, there is a community. We have all the social media. It should be super trivial. It didn't survive. It disappeared after some month. We tried with different people, and they didn't have the same commitment, passion. I don't know. It's just like when you raise a community and you are part of that. Probably the fact that we really cared for Bitcoin, but we really cared for the startups, we really cared for the people personally. And
also
that's
maybe it's all built around our style, our vision. So even if somebody is passionate, it's hard to inherit another person's dream and to keep it on. You want to recreate your dream based on your personality and traits and flavors. Yeah. So maybe that's also that. So she went back to music and to the kids, and I went very profitable freelancer. So I go 3 days for a Swiss bank. I started to care for the Swiss market more because they have more money, they're way better market. So I started to sell Bitcoin knowledge to Bitcoin banks, going to some conferences to the speech. I became a small investor and advisor in stuff like Relay, Lighting Ventures, so small Bitcoin startups, and we were quiet. But then I was tricked into taking over the Plan B summer school in Lugano by Tether and Fulgur, and then we started to be more and more involved with the Plan B forum, then with the Plan B hub, which is where there is the gym, and so now we are basically oops, we did it again. I guess we're back at it.
But rebuilding. At least I have apps now. So there's a new thing in my life going on.
And we are recreating the same formula, slightly different, because now I don't want to do consultancy anymore. I hate consultancy. It's a nightmare. So we try to do that with education as the main, let's say, cover up of the operation.
We'll get into all that Plan B stuff, because I want to give you plenty of time to talk about that. But like 2012, you're like a libertarian with a torch in the dark looking for a solution to all your problems, right? So it makes sense to me why you were instantly obsessed with Bitcoin, right? But what was the allure for you, other than, I guess, you are a people person, and that dinner you told me about, but what was it about Bitcoin that drew you in? And then together, I guess, what gave you conviction that 2012, it's so early, what gave you conviction that this was going to become a reality?
Yeah, well, to me, it was just it was clear it was a tool for freedom. And tool is very neutral, but in general, but it could have been used for people, once again, to liberate themselves from a difficult situation. So to me, that was really fascinating about Bitcoin, that part about human right, how to escape totalitarianism and situation like that. And also the technological part. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, this is by design really intriguing to me. Was I want to study and go more in depth with that. So, I think in general, for the majority of people, the why of Bitcoin is one of the most important part. Why Bitcoin exists, why it makes a difference from what we had in the past, and how it can make a difference in the future. Once you understand the why of Bitcoin, you're done. All the other parts are just nice to have to understand because you're a lover of knowledge or whatever. But so to me, you were very good at explaining to me very, very early the fact that Bitcoin was that kind of tool, and we really needed that. And like money was broken, and many things that we take for granted are actually super broken. But we were discussing libertarianism together, so I was like already involved into the...
You were convinced already of the theory, and Bitcoin was the first step to the practice.
That's a good point. To me, just like politics sounded like people blabbing, and while Bitcoin was just like, oh yes, that's a solution. That's a really practical solution, and it's already working. So I was like, it's not just like a dream. Libertarians tend to dream about things. This is already exist, and it's working. It has its own problem. We are going to fix those problems. It's fixable in a way. So I was like, that's a solution. Let's go for the solution, help the solution, because this is great for us, but it's also even greater for other people all over the world. And it was basically it for me.
Yeah, for her, it was about the practical side and the people angle, and also the history in the making angle. For me, it was more theoretical convergence of many things. Even within politics, I was split between the left libertarian movement around Anonymous, Occupy Wall Street, privacy, cypherpunks, but not really any monetary literacy, and the Austrians, Austrian economics, which is not really about personal liberties so much. So I was split, and Bitcoin was unifying that with my job, and that was crazy. I think for both there are also two caveats. We were early, we were lucky, we were smart, I guess. But there were two like very easy things. First, really, we had nothing to lose. If I had a great career that was very satisfying, if she saw academic career as something very promising and free and clean and open, but we were like, she was stuck in an academic career that was also political and like corrupt, and I was stuck in a really jobless, in a soulless job, and we were not making any important money. We
were full of debts, actually.
Full of debt.
When he got to me and he told me, "Can I use some of our money
to buy Bitcoin?"
I looked at him and I was like, Yeah, I don't care. Use all of our money. What we have, like 1,000?
In. Because we had 1,000 in the bank account, all in.
Yeah, go all in on Bitcoin.
Hang on, what was Bitcoin at the time? What price was it?
Since we lost everything in a boating accident, but it was $80. So $80 Bitcoin, maybe a bubble, but let's just go.
No, it was later, definitely
maybe later. Maybe 160. Yeah, we discussed at $80, and then we entered
10,000, 10 times more.
160, something like that. But anyway, this is one. If I had a great career, if we had a huge wealth, maybe we would have been more conservative for sure. And the second point is that we entered Bitcoin, especially you, in a very particular moment, the start of the Bitcoin civil war, the Blocksize War.
Well,
so
I kind of entered before that.
Slightly before, but it was starting to be. It was starting, and when you do that, you feel maybe it's a delusion, but you feel important to the fate of Bitcoin. It's not like Bitcoin is happening anyway. I can just pile on. I can just follow like a leverage. I surf it. No, in that case, it was like, this is a war. This is like something's going to happen. We have to protect this dream from misconceptions or mistakes or evil interests. So we were really feeling like not just soldiers, but even to some degree, maybe in a full way, generals. Like we were meeting with important people, deciding we have to do this or that. So there was a lot of sense of really having the future of Bitcoin in our heads. In retrospect, we didn't do shit, but we felt like really making or breaking Bitcoin during those days.
I remember the statement. We created a statement from our company about the war. I spent like a week writing that, and everybody was
not
sharing.
to X agreement, the anti-New York agreement. So we created it and we signed it.
Can you just give us a background on, just very quickly, on the New York agreement?
A bunch of American companies, they basically met in New York and they signed an agreement to change the block size based on what the corporate interests were. And Bitcoin is like an oligarch democracy in which is the business deciding. And then they created a new implementation of Bitcoin with the stated intent of firing the traditional open source developer and to basically do something more corporate. And we signed it like our business will never support this. And we reached out to many Italian and European Bitcoin businesses. And that was very influential. We started, we printed the stickers not to X to put in the conference and stuff.
We were in the front row with that. So we were very active, but also during the first war, this was like the second wave.
The first was Bitcoin Classic, Bitcoin XT, and then there was the New York Agreement. So it was a if you read the book, the Blocksize Wars, you can see all the passages, and we were basically pretty much involved in most of that because the conference we organized, Scaling Bitcoin, was a little bit the core of that plus the Hong Kong meeting. Those were like the real points where everybody was creating consensus over one way or the other. So it was feeling like we were really making it or breaking it.
Was there a point where your conviction became absolute? Perhaps at the start, I suspect that it started as a hope for something more, right? But was there a point where your conviction really maxed out?
For me, it's shallow, I know, but it was mostly price-driven. The first time there was a bubble and a crash, I was very worried. Second time, so like Bitcoin goes to 260 and crashes to 50. That's bad. I was scared. Maybe this is going to fail. Then it goes to 1,200 and it crashes to 600. Maybe it's bad. Then it goes to 19,000 and it crashes back to 5,000. At this point, I try to care, but I don't. Then it goes to 69,000 and it crashes back to 30,000. I absolutely don't care. And now it's the same. Like now, I mean, crush it.
The rising floor price is so reassuring, isn't it? I mean, that's exactly what caught my eye with regarding Bitcoin, because I discovered it kind of around about the time you guys did, 2011, 12, 13. I went back on this forum that I used to be a member of. It was a sport forum, but it was a different kind of, it was a side sort of discussion. Bitcoin came up and, I understood Bitcoin at a conceptual level. I'm not a technical person, but I was like, yeah, well, why shouldn't this be the new gold? Why can't it be the new gold? What is gold anyway? And what backs the US dollar? All these questions I had, fundamentally, when you're assessing whether or not Bitcoin could be viable, you're like, well, why not? It could be, right? Yeah, without really even delving into the technicals about the decentralized nature of it. And but I just thought it was experimental, theoretical.
Fragile.
And because I hadn't the political motivation you did, and you had the in with the dinner to get an understanding of something serious is happening here to pique your interest, I didn't have any of that. And it was only when the Bitcoin price spiked to 20,000, a barista friend of mine, a couple of months before that, had sort of reminded me, hey, did you see Bitcoin? I'm like, Bitcoin? I haven't thought about Bitcoin in years. And it went to 20,000. And I said, if this survives the next bear market, this is not going away. This, like, once it's a fluke, that's a bubble. Twice, there's something serious. Like, there's something more here. And then, even then, like, there was no ideology or anything with me. I just wanted to not miss the next trade, right? And it was only as a function of that trade.
Yeah, it's practical. It makes sense.
It drew me in, my interest, and then gradually I started understanding a little bit more about it. So it's like,
that's the path for most. Most people come in for the price, and then they follow into the rabbit hole of the ideology.
So tell me, why is there this flex amongst OGs and people who want to project that they are OGs? I don't even care about the price anymore, bro. When it's such a fundamental part of what drew us into Bitcoin, for example, like, nothing onboards people more than a bull market, right? They may not all make it through the bear market, but nothing onboards as many people into Bitcoin as a bull market, right? Like, we're all attracted to number go up. So why is there this aversion?
I mean, without the price, we wouldn't have the incentive to make everything work. So if you are like, I say it quite often, I don't care about the price, but it's because I am chill with Bitcoin price. I accept its volatility. And so for years, I didn't even have the ticker on my phone. And right now, I don't check it very often. I just like sometimes when people tweet something, I check and then I realize. Because to me, it's just like fundamentally important. But I don't care about the volatility, because otherwise probably will mess up with my health and my mental health. So I never traded. I don't want to start. I was lucky enough to enter into the space as a Bitcoin maximalist and not trading anything, because I already met people that were like...
going through the shitcoin phase, including me.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Very long
He did.
shitcoin phase.
I didn't have a shitcoin phase because he already had it. And so this is why I don't care about the price so much, but there are two levels here.
Probably we don't care about the short-term price fluctuation. Yeah. That's actually honest. While the flex, we don't care for the price at all. I guess it's a little bit elitist. Like, we don't care for something that other people care about. Like, we are not common plebs caring for something. I'm superior, so there's that, which is natural, I guess, to try to be a little bit elitist. And then there may be some actual, especially among developers, I'm sad to say, many Bitcoin developers, tool developers, even core developers, they come from this hacker culture, which is very strong about technicals, decentralization, privacy, but very, very shaky on economic rule grounds, on Austrian economics, price dynamics, general dynamics of value formation. So they, when, for example, we went to the CCC conference in Germany, hacker conference, very, very hardcore. They were great on privacy, all with the masks and stuff like that. Super cool. But they relegated Bitcoin to a very small table because that was money, which is something capitalist evil. So there's like this kind of socialist lean, left libertarian, pseudo-socialist adversity to money. Discussing money is vulgar, is especially Gosha caviar. I mean, rich people on the left, they don't care for money because they're just using that as money. So for us, money was important because we were really poor. For people that are rich and they just play to be the activist, the money is a vulgar kind of occupation. Talking about money is gross, right? So there's that kind of elitism, I guess.
So, Giacomo, I'm surprised to hear that you had a shitcoin phase. So, of all the maxis.
Oh, well, I found a Ripple t-shirt in the wardrobe one day, and I was like, what is that, Giacomo?
Are all the banks going to use Ripple, Giacomo?
I was like, oh my God.
So
it's not what it seems.
Exactly. I can explain. So first of all, I am a maxi because I had a Bitcoin as a shitcoin phase. I really see in shitcoiners, I see myself. That's why I get triggered. That's why I care. That's why also maybe sometimes I exaggerate, because I do see the fallacy I was falling into. And second, Ripple in particular is a very nice story because I was scammed by Satoshi Nakamoto in person. So now you have to know that in 2006 there was a project called Ripple before Bitcoin that was a way, like a Lightning network without Bitcoin, a way to basically route credit among people using public keys. It was cool. It was based on a few economical flaws that didn't make it possible, but it died out in 2007. Then Satoshi created Bitcoin, and on a Bitcoin Talk forum, there is a comment by Satoshi, Ripple is actually a very cool project. And he was mentioning the first Ripple. But then McCaleb and other people, they came out, they bought the Ripple logo, and they created this totally pre-mined shitcoin, total scam based on many factual misinterpretation and misdirection. And so that happened in 2012, something like that. So in 2013, I was rereading the full Satoshi, and then I stumbled into Ripple, and I said, oh, so this is legit. So I go to the Bitcoin conference in Amsterdam 2014, and I'm in front of the Ripple stand, and this is the shitcoin, but I didn't know, and I'm thinking, this is what Satoshi was promoting, so it must be legit. And back then I was not gluten intolerant, I was, but I didn't know. So they basically bought my loyalty with this waffle with honey, very, very good. So they made me install a Ripple wallet, and they sent me a token representing a waffle, and then I had to send it back, and they gave me the waffle, and it was very good. So I came back as a Ripple maximalist. And then, and let's say that on a more philosophical level, when I started to study Bitcoin, I was very skeptical. Like, this is too good to be true. Bitcoin broke my skepticism in the next few months, and so I went from skeptical to gullible. My skepticism was broken so hard by Bitcoin that at this point I was moving from believing nothing to believing everything.
To becoming more open to other things being possible, right?
As they say, so open-minded that my brain fell out. And I met Lawrence Naum, the creator of Green Address, now Blockstream Wallet, and he started to really challenge me. He was very toxic to me. He's a friend, I love him, but he was actually rude, and he was like, you're moral, you don't understand. He actually showed me the economical fallacies and the technical nonsense in all this stuff, and it turned me into a maximalist. And maybe one of the reasons I am an aggressive maximalist is that I see myself into many fallacy. It's a pretense of knowledge. Back then in 2013, I was pretending to know much more than I did for real. So there was a lot of bluff in my. Now I think I do understand some parts of Bitcoin, and I try to be honest with that. While back then, I was just like vibe studying Bitcoin. I get it, and everything goes, and now we will have tokens and DAOs and stuff like that.
I want to talk about maximalism, given you're a self-identifying maximalist, right? Which I don't call myself a maximalist. I'm Bitcoin only. I'm not as ideological driven as a lot of people in the space are, right? But I do wonder whether or not a lot of the maximalism, the behaviors are misdirected. I said to, who was it? Adam. We had Adam back here yesterday, and Dr. Jack Cruz is also a pretty toxic sort of guy, like in a Bitcoin maximalist sort of way. I said, Bitcoin has this incredibly powerful decentralized immune effect, but how do we stop it from becoming an autoimmune reaction? Because sometimes I do think it flips over into this autoimmune reaction, and it puts a lot of people off who are already in. And I just wonder what people from the outside watching this, who might just be curious, what they think watching this and whether it puts them off.
So I think this is mostly driven from personal experience. It's true that there is a point over which it becomes self-immune, it becomes harmful. Actually, we have a few examples of that in the community, in the Italian community, for example, where actually it becomes just a pose. Your entire identity is basically to bother other people about what they do. That can happen. But the point is that the threshold, at a certain point, we started to have the Bitcoin meetup and we invited shitcoiners. Interesting, honest shitcoiners. We got people talking about Namecoin, Monero, Zcash, Saya Coin. They were technical people explaining interesting things. But when we took this decision, it was like opening Pandora's box. Once we went from Bitcoin to shitcoins, such is the temptation and the allure of printing money that we were basically flooded by requests to promote this or that token. It was like a tsunami coming out of a box. I think that if you read the Ethics of Money Production, it's a very good book that explains that the temptation to print money is super strong. When you have that, it basically overcomes any other incentives. So it's not really easy as a general practice to say, I will be open-minded about this, but let's put a threshold over which this is just shilling tokens, this is just perverse, this is just nonsense. It's very hard to find that. So maximalism, I think, is a very convenient prima facie heuristics. I know it seems like a pretentious term, but what I mean is that it's a convenient default. I'm super happy to discuss shitcoin stuff or even to try a shitcoin game, but I'm very mindful that I know that in the Bitcoin only phase there is a clear box that is already interesting enough. And if you open that,
this is why I was invited into discussing into a panel about maximalism. Some minutes before going on the stage, I realized that maximalism is actually minimalism, because you're only focusing on one thing. And when you reach this definition, is open enough to make you understand that you are the one in control, that you want to focus on Bitcoin, and you are not like cheating on other shit coins. All the time. You can also consider them, you can also reason about that, but you don't have time. You don't want to use your time, your energy on something else, because Bitcoin is good enough. There's plenty of things to do, and it's the best investment you can do. And so in the end, if you're a person that don't want to waste time, energy, focus, Bitcoin is the best choice.
Yeah,
and
a great default.
Yeah,
a great default filter.
Yeah.
A great filter. And then if you're wrong about the filter, you can reevaluate. For example, short term, there is one kind of shitcoins that I was forced to reevaluate, which is so-called stable coin. Not really stable. They are shitcoins. They are blockchain-based scam. They don't scam the investors, which is very good to me. They scam the regulators. So like USDT is like PayPal, but in the secondary market, they can do whatever they want because the regulator thinks it's decentralized, which is a good kind of scam. They're scamming the regulator, so I can abide to them. But these, they are clearly running on shitcoin RAMs like Tron, Polygon, and they're very used. They have a use case. So at this point, I'm forced to capitulate and admit that they have some utility. I cannot really I cannot pretend they don't exist. But as a heuristics, as a predisposition, it served us very well to not distract. So many people try to use this intellectual openness kind of trick to say, yeah, you're right, but my case is different. And if you waste time to evaluate any extraordinary claim of difference, you will just lose yourself into a sea of nonsense. So Bitcoin maximalism, which is, I completely agree, is minimalism, is like this stuff. Bitcoin is incredible enough. It's already so much disruptive, and there is so much variety within Bitcoin to study that we don't need even more. If you come here with the pretense, yeah, it's like Bitcoin, but more what? It's already volatile. You want more volatility, you want more beta. It's already technically complex. You want more complexity. It's already disruptive. It's already a lot of cultural facets. I don't want more. Bitcoin is enough. If you prove me, if you're serious about that and you're going to create something useful, well, I will miss the FOMO of entering it in the first moment. I will just reevaluate in 10 years. And when you do that, it's always like game over for shitcoiners. I remember we have a dinner with Zuko Wilcox in Chile, Santiago de Chile, with Adam Beck and me and Zuko Wilcox, and he was saying, yeah, but Adam, you see, ZK technology for privacy is very, and I just asked, but why don't you just do a Bitcoin sidechain where you use the technology on Liquid? Dr. Adam Beck is here, just put it on Liquid. Just ask him. And Adam said, yeah, we can do it when you want. We create Zcash or Liquid. So the same, but we don't reinvent the money. And he was like, but you know, we need funding for the developers. Satoshi didn't need any funder. They just did cannot you just raise some grants? So the point is, it's always a pretense. I think there are very, very few projects that started in a genuine way. And even if you do start in a genuine way, somebody else will pump and dump your project. I remember that we created a token to troll Richard Hart. And the token was just created to troll Richard Hart. It was not a serious token. It was Duxbucks. And it was just a joke. And then after years, we found a Telegram group shilling that as my invention that could make people money, for real. Somebody else just found the ERC20 token floating around, and they just used it to create a pump and dump group with my face on it. Even Dogecoin started as a joke to mock this stuff, and then Elon Musk is using it to actually scam people. So it's about...
Yeah, and this makes me think about the other part. There is maximalism and toxicity, which is like two different things, because you can focus on Bitcoin without being toxic, and you can be even toxic but in the right way, just like sometimes toxicity to me means be really straightforward to people that are going to be scammed, so you want to tell them and you want to prevent them.
Like total off, like what Lawrence Naum showed to me, not messing around, you're an idiot, you're wrong, and if you can survive...
Well, that's a little bit too much, but
for me it was effective.
Yeah, sometimes it's effective, sometimes it prevent people to actually join the space, and what we're experiencing in the community, for example, we were discussing today, and some people actually are extremists, I don't know if it's even a word in English, and so they found in the Bitcoin space, in this toxicity, just like this mood, but they will be extreme in any other field. They're just like their way of expressing themselves and like destroying other people. So unfortunately, this happens in every community and also into the Bitcoin space. So of course, toxicity was sort of a joke, but for some people it became a vocation, a bad vocation. So it's also something that we have to deal with, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me, for example, when in cryptography, there is this motto, you don't roll out your own crypto. With crypto, it means basically cryptographic functions, because it's bad. You will get people wrecked with a new cryptographic function. You have to use the standards. Not because we are forcing you, but because it's so complex that you are for sure overestimating your own skills. So there is this mantra. This mantra is toxic in a way, because you have new people coming in, I reinvented the SHA function with ternary system, and I was like that. I reinvented the stuff, and they tell you, they shut you down, like, if you want to play. If you want a toy. If you are going to suggest this to other people, to rely on that for security, don't, because probably it is wrong. You just have to follow the best practices, and if you want to do something more, you have to show proof of work that what you're doing is battle tested and stuff like that. This is like an approach that is basically, it's not literal, because if people took literally don't roll out your own crypto, we will not have cryptography at all. So clearly somebody had to invent cryptographic function, but don't overestimate yourself, don't have the hubris of thinking that you can easily reinvent the wheel, rebuild the system. I think it's about humility, basically. Don't be humble in a way.
You mentioned that maximalism is a useful heuristic and as a filter. And I guess you raised toxicity. That was really more the appropriate word that I was searching for in posing the initial question. But do you also have a heuristic to identify a threshold beyond which toxicity is not appropriate?
Not easy, right?
No, it's not easy. I mean, I think that people that strongly believe that toxicity is not a joke, that's already a problem. Because
but some people think it's a virtue.
Yeah,
it was semi-ironic. It was like, it was reappropriation, like a queer, like people call you toxic and you embrace it like, yeah, I'm toxic. But what you mean is that I'm not really hurtful. I'm actually helping you with some. So we don't think we are really toxic in a literal sense. We are embracing and reappropriating the term because we think that the people using the term are not in good faith. And some people can leverage.
Sorry, Giacomo, where did this come from? The accusation, where did that come from?
I collected it. The very first one was from a feminist writer in some American newspaper that said that the Bitcoin culture was toxic and was linking it to the right-wing masculine toxicity. So it was coming from toxic masculinity. So it was just straightforward from that. And then it just expanded. Everybody's toxic, you are toxic. And in many cases, I noticed that it was not said in good faith. It was like, the practice of sea lioning, coming from a very funny meme. There is this joke of somebody saying, I don't like sea lions. And then there is a sea lion. Why do you don't like me? Why are you treating me this way? And they are very gentle. They are very suasive. They are very
cute.
kind.
They're cute, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they are basically bothering you and spamming you with kindness. And the idea of toxicity is basically counteractive Brandolini's law. It's easier to build a pile of shit than to debunk it. Since it's easier, sometimes you have to cut it short. You have to just say no. You cannot allow yourself to be.
It's once again is minimalism.
It's minimalism again.
Once again, it's just like I don't have time, and also Satoshi was like.
That had to explain you. Sorry.
Sorry. At some point, especially if you are a public person, you don't have time for that. Actually, you can find good solution, as I did in the past. I created some videos, some contents, and I was referring people just like through the link. So I prepared everything once, and that's done. But I understand from time to time people are just like battering you online, and this is becoming like a job, and if you don't reply they're accusing you, and it's kind of tough. So who is the toxic one at that point?
But I will say something maybe surprising for you, because I never thought this way, but we were mentioning Adam Beck. Adam Beck is strict on maximalism. Is very convinced, is very convincing, is not hand waving, is not missing words. But it's very kind with of everybody.
I found him so yesterday. Yeah, very.
So you can be kind without being trapped into fake, bad faith debates. But it takes a lot of self-control. And Adam is an example of a person with a very, very low ego, well-managed ego. And he doesn't get triggered easily. He has a very, very thick skin. So he doesn't get triggered. So if you get to the Adam Beck level of Zen, probably you can be a maximalist without wasting time with bad faith adversary, without even being toxic. But for me, it's hard. So I think
you're getting better.
I'm getting better. Toxicity is a sign of weakness to a degree, because we have to admit that you don't have the patience to be kind but firm at the same time. And in order to not become kind and weak, you become overreactive. So
I have to confess that from time to time, I tend to, like in private, tell Giacomo, you're overreacting. I don't like this because, as a couple, many people think that we are a single entity, but we disagree on many things. And communication style from time to time is something that we have very different views. And of course, if somebody is following us on social media, can see the different energy between us, which is also our energy in real life. And there was a point where I was like, Giacomo, I don't like this person online. This is too much. And it took some time for him to realize that. At the beginning, he was just like toxic with me too. But after some time, he realized that I was right in that.
Still hard to follow this new path, but
no, it's not your path. You should be as toxic as you can remain authentic and not overreacting, because overreacting is weakness to me.
I agree. And really, one of the reasons I get triggered so much is because I'm embarrassed of when I was falling for this. So there is some personal kind of baggage there.
I understand. It's like the former smoker watching other people smoke, right? Do you have a kind of revulsion for the mere act?
it.
You don't want it anywhere near you, not the smell, maybe even not the people when they come back, right? You're like, it's disgusting. I understand. I mean, as an observer, I don't engage in online battles because of the way I've chosen from very early on to manage my account. But as an observer, I make a distinction between the promoters of these schemes and the people who are kind of misled investors. And I do have sympathy when they are attacked, because I think they're quite distinct. I think the promoters of these schemes are uniquely evil and scammers. I mean, they know what they're doing, right? You've been around the scene long enough and interacted with them long enough to know much better than me. But from what I can see, I don't believe many of them, if any of them, have a sincere belief that they're creating something that has a chance at being sustainable and viable. So I wonder how can we, as a community, do a better job of targeting them with our energy when we have it, rather than the first group who may be like, sometimes they also hold Bitcoin, sometimes they're pre-Bitcoiners, but they're definitely our target audience, right? Because they're in the space, they're engaging and whatever. Like, these are people I think we'd have a better chance of catching with honey than vinegar. So I wonder if we can do a better job of that. How can we do a better job of that?
I think that creating contents and providing value is the best way. What we are doing at Plan B Network, not to shield that, is just like
positive.
And sometimes they only need for example, we provide a platform full of contents. We don't need any type of communication except for look at these things from here. You're going to learn from these contents why this is not a good chance. You learn by yourself. Is everything free, open source, and you're engaging in a constructive way instead of destroying them, and you're giving them the freedom to discover by themselves. It's what I believe it's one of the, I mean, it's not that effective, but in the end, yes, it has the best conversion.
Even if staying always positive is like, you can get people in Bitcoin, then they will lose it all. We have a friend.
Just stay neutral. You don't need to stay always positive.
Example, very recently, a friend, very intelligent university professor, he gets orange pilled, and then he writes to me, I bought Trump coin. I mean, how can you stay positive with that? I mean, you need to get toxically a bit.
Can I make a confession? Nobody knows this about me, right? Maybe one or two people. When I started only Bitcoin, did not touch anything for 5 years, nothing. My friend is a shitcoiner. He sends me a meme. I'm doubling over laughing. I'm like, is this a coin? He goes, yeah, it's a coin. All right. What's the market cap? He told me. I'm like, all right. I mean, it made me laugh so hard. I have never had this reaction. I said, like, it's gambling money, right? And I'd never recommend it, and I don't tell people what it is. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, okay, get me some. Honestly, I've never had that reaction before, right? So, like, am I a moral failure now? That's the point that I want to make, and it's.
No, I totally buy
you. And I
you.
probably will never have that reaction again because of humor is something that I value very highly, and the theme of the meme was incredibly funny to me. That it's almost like you see a new comedian on Instagram Reels or something, and you're like, I want to go and see that comedian, right? And I had that reaction with the meme. Like, okay, all right, I have never done this before. All right, let's just do that. And believe me, that money is written off, right? I don't consider myself a shitcoiner.
No,
right?
I think I completely buy your distinction between, but we have friends that are traders, and I think that.
And they'll trade anything on a chart, right?
Yeah, and shitcoin traders, I consider them very honest. They buy something because they believe it will go up, they sell it when they believe it will go down. So my only issue is with promoters, people lying, especially lying about Bitcoin, by amplifying supposed shortfalls of Bitcoin in order to sell the shitcoin, or pump and dumpers that will tell you to buy when they are selling. So I mostly have a problem with that. But if somebody is like, people could buy T-bills and sell them, even if it's clearly the enemy, the fiat money. I don't have a problem with traders. I have a problem with promoters that are using lies, because they were the one tricking me back then, and I'm still resentful of that. And I buy the distinction. I buy other two distinctions. One is in person versus online. Online, especially for people that have a big following, it's a one-to-many communication. You don't have time. You don't have the personal feeling. You cannot be polite. You have to be strict. And I completely condone some level of toxicity online. In person, I was always I was never an asshole to people in person. Even if I meet a shitcoin founder, I will tell him what I believe, but I will use normal civil courtesies in a reaction. On Twitter, you just tell me, buy this shitcoin, I will block. But because on Twitter I'm subject to spam attacks, I so many garbage, basically.
Actually, I will tell you the opposite in real life. It's just like, Giacomo, you're wasting your time.
If I am discourteous to you online, we better not meet. Because if I feel it enough to tell you that online and soil my brand and break character and all of that, yeah.
No, I'm actually in person. I'm so non-toxic that she has to save me. She has to Giacomo, leave this weirdo go. I will give 3 hours of explanation that is you shitcoiners, clearly in bad faith. I will spend 3 hours counteracting every single point, because I guess that my point is, online, there is no. I'm used to this anti-spam culture. I know that if you see enlarge your penis email or like Nigerian prince, I'm not debating about aristocracy in Nigeria. I'm just blocking. In person, if I meet somebody telling me he's a Nigerian prince in person, I would probably spend the night with him arguing about that.
Yeah, but you're one of the least toxic person I can imagine.
People are surprised when they meet me in person that I'm not the same, and the other way around. And that's maybe something I learned also, when I started to use the internet as a kid, getting into forums where it's normal to insult each other. So I created probably there's the in-person culture where I try to be polite, even if I'm honest, brutally honest, but I'm polite. While online, well, we just go.
Yeah, fair enough. If someone's going to get a reaction from me online, it's they've done well.
Serious?
They've done well. It doesn't mean I want to kill them in real life, but if they just better stay away, because if they get into my face in the same way that's got a reaction from me, they're going to get more of a reaction from me. It will mean something for me if I engage online. And so far, 4.5 years, I think I've dealt with, I've been at various times at the center of certain things, because, I don't know, I guess it's just my turn when you're commandeering a big account. And I just let it flow, because I know in 24 hours, maybe even less, it's just going to be over, right? It's going to be the attention goes somewhere else. And I'm okay with it. I've learned to deal with it. And you have to, in order to keep a healthy headspace. But if I do break out of that, so far it hasn't happened. But there are some people I've developed a bit of antipathy for, just because of the way that they interact. And I don't want to meet them.
That's legit.
Yeah, I don't want to meet them.
I guess you're more consistent than me. I don't know. I have a split personality about that problem.
Yes, I was considering that, but
my online filter. And
that's a weakness of mine, I think.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a bit of you're pretty consistent in both.
Yeah, I'm consistent. I mean, if somebody attack me, actually, it doesn't happen very often. I'm very surprised. The people are very nice and polite.
What are they going to attack you about?
Well, they could just
usually
it's
they do attack people, but for her it doesn't happen.
I followed you for a long time.
Yeah, but
you're pretty benign online, right? You're not really.
Yeah. But if they try to do something not very polite, I tend to reply with a joke, and it stops there. It's just like a GIF or something stupid, or just and it stops there.
You know who I think is the best at dealing with toxicity? Lynn Alden.
She's very good, very good.
She's so patient, and I don't know if she like consciously has a method, but it's like whatever someone's saying, she'll just take the bit where it's germane to the conversation and will just educate the shit out of this person. It's like, and she's so generous in how much information she shares, and she's obviously brilliant at what she does.
But I'm very direct, not being fake gentle.
Doesn't take a backward step either. Like, it's not a cowardly nicety. It's actually, let me engage with you in a way that maybe we can both get something out of this exchange. I think we can all learn from that. I wish I had her patience. I don't think I do, but I wish I.
There is also a strange, on one side, I think that I don't want to do that gig in which you blame social media, but there is some level of distortion because you get really rewarded if you create drama. So every time that maybe I try to be patient, then I will lose my patience a little bit because it's too much. I have too many shitcoiners commenting. No, there is like, I don't know, somebody arrested and they just say, just use Monero in a way that doesn't make any sense. So we start to block. I'm losing my patience. Then I overreact a bit. And then I will be rewarded by like, yeah, Giacomo, tell them. So there is this kind of mechanism that will reward aggression, especially among males, I guess. That also was true also in politics, political activism. When I was humiliating the opponent, I was getting cheers
but
from...
you have to imagine Giacomo when he writes those things, he's smiling from the living room. So people think that he is really angry or whatever, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. He's super happy. And I was just like checking online, checking the person in real life. Are those connected? Are you having a ghostwriter? What the fuck is going on? It happens. It's just like... You're crazy, Giacomo.
I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but it was something that popped into my mind. In the last cycle, I think the toxic maxis were kind of at their peak, and it's kind of faded away as a kind of behavior. I mean, it's still there, but it's not nearly as strong as it was. And in the last cycle, Nick Carter wrote an article when he was subject to a bit of a barrage from the toxic maxis. But there was a point that he made that stuck in my mind because it referred to an earlier period that I wasn't a part of, and that was the Blocksize Wars. And during the Blocksize Wars, actually, it was quite necessary to be toxic, right? That was when I would consider that kind of behavior to be quite virtuous because it was a conspiracy that was presented as a fait accompli, and it required a strong response from the community to, I guess, galvanize a movement against that. And it's not an exaggeration to say to save Bitcoin, right? And many of the people who came after that, like me, through 2020 and the whole COVID stimulus thing, read about the lore of that era and, the heroics of essentially saving Bitcoin, and were perhaps intent on cosplaying and inadvertently demonstrating cargo cult behavior, in the sense the battle had been won, but they remember the behaviors and were replicating that as a way of becoming part of the community. What did you think of that analogy at the time?
I called them parrots. They were parroting all the time those things. And I also think that was a matter of intensity. It was required at that time, and then after that you can lower the intensity as save for new words when it happens. Yeah. And another thing that comes to my mind is the importance of distinction between propaganda and argumentation. So from time to time, you want to get some time to explain things in an argumentative way. So you take your time, you have this soft energy and very rational energy, but you don't always have the time, and it's not always the context. During the Blocksize War, there was argumentation, but there was also the other part, which is propaganda. We needed the slogan, we needed the good memes, we needed to really fight with all our guns. And so I think that time really showed that propaganda, it was valuable. But when you are not in a war, propaganda could be good, but in a cool way, not in that way. So it's probably time right now to just save energy for the next wars. I feel like that.
I don't entirely agree though, because first of all, back then we didn't know that the Blocksize War was we just felt like we are trying to make a point to stay strong on some principle. When you review that, you know that there was a breaking or making point for Bitcoin to some
So you
degree.
didn't feel at the time it was an existential battle for the survival of Bitcoin?
Yes, but I feel the same most days.
But that's your problem.
So
That's
it's
your
very
problem.
easy on Bitcoin.
I'm worried about your cortisone levels,
Yeah.
The absolute importance of that season compared to now is something you really evaluate ex post. In the moment, you go with the moment. You try to make some principle. You don't think how important this is. It's not easy to see that when you zoom in and when you are in. You have to zoom out to some degree. And so it's true. I think that the idea of some toxic maximalists are just parroting. That's inevitable. That's always happens. You cannot have a world of free thinkers coming out with original thoughts. Many people will just parrot other people, and that's okay. They will parrot about shitcoining. They will parrot about maximalism. They will parrot the fact that maximalism is an immune reaction.
Yeah, that's correct.
So it goes in rounds. Like people will parrot Nick Carter, and Nick Carter will parrot other people. And that's always the case. Yeah. But the point is that I think that most maxis, they were expecting to have created a culture after the Blocksize Wars that were just default intolerant to some behavior, and that's not something that requires the same level of threat. You just, in order to avoid a new Craig Wright, in order to avoid a new fraction with Roger Ver, we just stay a little bit less tolerant of bullshit. So we try to lower the bullshit threshold, because with Roger and with Craig, the bullshit threshold was so high that we acted when the damage was already very high. So I think the point would be, even if Nick Carter is not Roger Ver, when you start to behave in a suspect way, we just go direct, straightforward, without waiting for you to become the problem that the Blocksize were. So it's true that it was not the same, but there is, I think, the good reason to be intolerant in that level. Specifically because in the case of Nick Carter, I want to use this case just as an example, but in the specifics, he tweeted something like, "Yeah, I'm very proud to be investing in this Web3 chain analysis shit." Now, I'm friend with Bruce Fenton. Bruce Fenton is a shitcoiner. I'm friend with Andreas Antonopoulos. Andreas Antonopoulos is a shitcoiner. They believe in multi-coin ideas. I never insulted them or blocked them because that's what they believe. I think they're wrong. I did believe the same and I changed my mind, and we argue. But Nick Carter used the Bitcoin only kind of allure, the slogan. So that I think is even worse than shitcoining. When you build a following, you build attention, and you build a brand. When Casa went shitcoin, the reaction from the community was not the same. Like we like Bitfinex, we work with Bitfinex. Bitfinex is a shitcoin casino, no problem there. Casa was a Bitcoin only company, branded as Bitcoin only. It created loyalty based on that. Like, I will prefer you over the others because you're Bitcoin only. So you parasited the brand, pretending to care for that kind of specific heuristic filter, and then you break it. Their reaction is over violent on that, because Nick Carter was presenting himself as a toxic maximalist, and then he tweets out, "I'm supporting a Web3 chain analysis company." People will start, "Are you sure this is bad?" And then it will go crazy, like, "You don't know who I am, my star will continue to rise. I don't even care, I'm too rich to care."
You know what? I like that he said that, and I like that everybody
the memes
picked up on that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
There is a song about that. We have two sweaters with "My star will continue to rise." Yeah. And the point is, I think the problem is doubling down. Another example I will make, which is with an happy ending, Robert Breedlove.
Sure.
He shielded this BitCloud stuff.
Yeah.
He was paid to shield something.
Yeah. Right.
And when people reacted like, "Man, come on," like Gigi said, "Brother,
I remember that, yeah.
I like you, but please." And he started to double down. Like he wrote, like a Nick Carter.
But he sold his tokens.
He did. So it was bad. But he said it will be for charity.
Actually, I was the first one replying, "Why don't you use this money now that you have to use for some grants or for Bitcoin developers?" I don't know if it make any difference, but I'm sure I was the first one replying. Now you, helping with the PR and trying to get some money for something good. And I was like, use that for
But anyway,
Bitcoin
my
devs.
point is that he was entering a Nick Carter-like spiraling, in which like he was writing 6 pages articles about the free market. Like, we never called the police to stop you from shitcoining. We're just saying you're shitcoining, that's bad. So it was like misdirection about free market, which is never in discussion. I'm totally for the freedom to sell anything from meth to shitcoins. I don't want people to get arrested for that. So it was spiraling. Then he realized that it was bad. So he just shut up. It disappeared for a few months. Then he came. Well, then we went to Miami, and he organized a beautiful event with the comedian, the very funny comedian with red hair, and Jordan Peterson. And it was a good event, and everybody kind of went. Most people uncancelled Breedlove because he just stopped doubling down. Instead, Nick Carter going on basically throwing everybody under the bus, like, you were bad people. I'm so happy that I'm not among you anymore. Your camp will suffer for my departure. If you double down like that, you are just inviting people to meme the shit out of you. I don't know what to say.
That was in the first year of my account, and I was still naive about the nature of maximalism, and I didn't understand that there was actually this divide, because I was just not interested in. I was literally just interested in Bitcoin, not as a point of sort of ideology or an aversion to anything. I was literally just interested in Bitcoin, right? And then when this BitClout thing came on, I'm like, what is this BitClout thing? And I claimed my account, right? And like, this was maybe 200,000 followers, like the first 3 months, not even the first year. It was the first maybe 3 months, right? So the account is old, but the Bitcoin archive started January 2nd, 2021, right? And then I started getting fucking shitcoin. I said, I just logged in, I didn't do anything. I said, because you can check to see if anyone's cashed out. I said, I literally logged in because it was being billed as like a social network with some kind of coin crypto thing. I'm like,
you monetize your...
So I logged in, there's nothing there. It's just literally like, if you want to sell, you can sell. If you want to buy, you can buy. But there's no social network in there. And I thought it was a social network. And they're like, delete this. I'm like, I'm not deleting it. It was a mistake, but I'm not, like, you can, if you want to bring it up like 3-4 years or forever, you're welcome to do that. But people unfollowed me for that.
It could be excessive, but it's like, I think that the point is just take the L and don't double down.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, well, I think that, so here in it was a Riga. We launched something called the B Foundation a few years ago with
The
Adam.
B or beef?
The B.
That would be nice.
With
the
Adam
beef.
Beck, Elena Vranova, Francis Puyot, and others, and we started to receive a lot of criticism for many reasons.
Yes.
One of those, it was perceived as a centralization point because there were too many Bitcoin celebrities. The goal was to do exactly what OpenSats is doing. So we sat down and we said, let's create an entity to gather donations to direct to Bitcoin projects. So it was OpenSats, basically like that. But it was, we presented that as a team of superheroes, too centralizing, too personality-based, and some of us were a little bit shitcoining, and that was perceived as off-brand. And so people started to meme the shit out of us.
Oh my God.
Like Rodolfo Novak destroyed, we created so many parody accounts, and Kevin Locke, Kevin Locke's Twitter
Friends,
was...
actually, real friends.
Friends of us. And I really felt in myself the breaking point. Like, I was offended because I was trying to do something good and I got a lot of slack for it. And was like, you cannot dictate what I do. It is who are you to say what I'm doing? And I just started to think, is this reaction good or bad? Is there's like the fact that you have to overcome this kind of social pressure if you sway. Is this long-term good? And I think it was. So I just took the L.
I learned from the community. Like I said, look, when I entered, I didn't understand that there was an ideological divide. I just had no interest in anything else because my interest in the space, the way I was drawn into this space, was because I'd noticed Bitcoin and because I knew that it was going to to continue going up. And as a trader, I invested and I gradually became accustomed with, I guess, not just the ideology, but actually what is Bitcoin? Actually understanding, at a conceptual level what it is. Technically, I'm never going to get into that. It's just not who I am. But at least I started understanding what its broader purpose was and some of the profound consequences as a result of that. And it has a function. Culture is deeply important to Bitcoin. I think it's essentially a cultural phenomenon, much more than a technical phenomenon. I mean, it's technically beautiful and elegant and all the rest of that. Yeah. But it's something around which a culture is building, and that's what's giving it value, I think. So, when I raise these questions about maximalism and toxicity, I think they certainly have a place. My only reservation is like, guys, can we just be a little bit more, I guess, discerning how we deploy this? Because sometimes it just breaks my heart to think about someone who might have been interested and they're just like, who are these fucking animals, right? Like, because sometimes we're really over the top. And it breaks my heart to think about that. But then I guess the other side of it is a lot of people have been protected as well.
It could be a double-edged sword. You are keeping some people out who are not ready to some degree. It's a little bit patronizing to say so, but it's also true. And you are protecting people from maybe being hurt. Or sometimes you're not protecting them, you're just helping their next cycle. So I found that when you say shitcoiners stop, most people will not stop because I say so. They will just write me off and do it anyway. Then, when it happens, they will come to me, you were right. So I had a lot of you were right coming back. Giacomo, I know you blocked me because I was shilling this coin. You were right. Please unblock me on these other social media. And I do, because it was toxicity never stops people from doing what they're doing, but it gives you a strong, easy to remember trauma, small trauma, that when you are reconsidering, you will remember like, otherwise, when the scam is over, you may toss Bitcoin out with the scam coins because you just associate the two. So you enter crypto, you get scammed, you toss out crypto. Well, if you remember Toxic Maximalist, you will say, crypto was bad, but somebody tried to warn me.
There's a distinction.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
It was like, I feel like a couple that we are balanced in the end because I'm more cheerful and nice and you have this energy. So in the end, we are like in equilibrium.
And people will need to write to you to unblock them.
Oh, yes, it happens all the time. People write me, I'm just like, can you tell Giacomo to unblock me? And I'm just like, okay. And most of the time you unblock them immediately.
Yeah, unblock them immediately.
Yeah. I don't typically tell people what I do. I mean, now I'm becoming a little bit more relaxed about it because I'm doxed anyway, right? But and I don't evangelize. I don't orange pill people. But a very close friend of mine, I did orange pill him. We only talk about Bitcoin. He understands the nature of Bitcoin. He's very distrusting of the system. He is like Alex Jones level, I hate the establishment, right? But he's got a very respectable job in, I won't say what he does, but in understanding, let's just say, the global environment. It's a very respectable job. Buy some Bitcoin. Okay, look, and it's towards the top of the cycle, last cycle, right? Buy some Bitcoin, bro. You're going to need it. World's falling apart, right? Okay. How do I do it? Okay, order your Trezor, right? Or buy first. Whichever one you want to do, just do it, right? And I'll show you how to self-custody. And great, gets his Trezor, orders it. 2 weeks later, he's got it. I've got my Trezor, now where can I buy it? Okay, you can just go do an exchange. Very easy, like straight away, right? Not concerned with KYC. He's just wanting monetary protection. Good, all right. We meet up, so how'd you go? You all right? Have you self-custody? Yeah. I got some Bitcoin. You know what's coming. I got a little bit of ETH. I go, what? Who told you to do that? He goes, it's like, it's going to go up. It's, it's like, well, who told you? Where did you get this idea?
Yeah.
He just came up with it himself, right? So where did you get that from? I never told you to get any of that stuff, right? And it's like, you've only heard about this stuff because of me. You look on the exchange, and I don't know if Coinbase prompted him or something like that.
They do. They tend to do.
But it's like, okay, look, I'm just telling you, that's not Bitcoin. That's not like the next Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's not like Bitcoin. It's something completely and utterly different, right? And the reasons why I've asked you to buy Bitcoin are not related to ETH. Anyway, he even held through the cycle, like, which is a big deal for me, right?
Yeah.
Like there are two people that I made a personal point of orange pilling, and I'm very proud that neither sold through the bear market. Cool. And in fact, one of them I thought would be particularly emotional, and she never even looked at the price. She goes, yeah, okay, it's good. Yeah, it's good. All right, it's cool. It's her Bitcoin. And she's like, I have Bitcoin. And like, I said, that's your secret weapon. All the bullshit you go through at work, right? None of those fuckers have as much Bitcoin as you, right? None of them. They probably don't even know what it is. And they're scheming with their politics to get another $5,000, $10,000 raise or whatever. All that effort every single day, kissing ass, right? And none of them have Bitcoin.
That's a great point.
None of them Bitcoin. And it's like, oh, okay. And it just makes some of the misadventures at work tolerable, yeah. And like, all you need to do is just make sure you got your bills paid, because your retirement's taken care of.
Yeah.
And maybe even much, much earlier than retirement as well, right? And so you'll be leaving that place richer than probably the chief executive, and sooner. So like, so that was a very proud moment of mine. But like my friend who bought Ethereum, like, I don't know where he got that from.
Exchange do shield this stuff, and that's what's. For sometimes I also discussed. There was a good point raised by somebody. I was cheering on Ross Ulbricht liberation and the Silk Road as a libertarian endeavor, and somebody told me, yeah, but I mean, Silk Road was selling and was allowing people to sell damaging stuff, and you are taking issue with Coinbase for selling Fartcoin and listing Fartcoin. I got some self-reflection. Actually, I do completely condone the selling and the trading of stuff. I really dislike the shilling. I dislike when the platform, instead of being neutral, will tell you, so Ross, the Silk Road was not telling you meth is good. Actually, there were doctors on the Silk Road trying to get people off meth, but then they were allowing people to exchange whatever they wanted to exchange. So consenting adults, you don't stop them from exchanging. Maybe you even enable them with practical solutions, agnostic, but then you just restrain yourself from shilling, from pushing something. And stuff like Coinbase, you will log in to buy Bitcoin, and they will actually bomb you with, yeah, but what about the Fartcoin?
And they do it with notifications as well. Hey, such and such is up. You know?
It's the great moment, and that's my problem. Like I was very friend with a lot of people at Kraken, because they were allowing a lot of shitcoin trading, but then I started to receive Kraken notification on Twitter, try to diversify with whatever coin, and I think that's really the point that will hurt people, because you are confusing them. They come in with some kind of diversification bias, because when you buy stocks, you have to diversify.
Plan B, guys. Tell me about Plan B. What is it?
Oh, where do we start?
Let's start with the beginning. The city of Lugano was always interested in strange monetary experiments. Since the 80s, they had this kind of Lugano card with a cashback mechanism. They had the Luga, which is a point system convertible in Swiss francs for the citizens of Lugano. And they digitalized it a few years ago. And then they were convinced by local university to do blockchain stuff. Of course, to put it mildly, I'm very skeptical of the blockchain stuff, but they did it. And then they met Paolo Ardoino, the current CEO of Tether. And Paolo was trying to establish the headquarters in Lugano. And he was basically, he orange-pilled the mayor of Lugano with the brand Plan B for the city. And the brand was very effective, and they created a Plan B summer school to teach Bitcoin to people. I was not involved back then. Neither was Mir.
I remember the announcements. Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It was. We were not there. Then they did the Plan B forum, the first conference. I was invited as a speaker. Mir was not. So very low involvement. But then after a year, Paolo and Oleg Mikhailsky of Fulgur Venture, that was also participating to the initiative. Fulgur is a very good and big venture capital firm in Bitcoin. They invested in everything from Casa to Fold to anything basically. And they called me to take over the school, to teach the school, to direct the school, and I did. Then they opened this office in Lugano, which is now under Mir's basically governance, and they gradually we took more and more part to that, and then we started to cooperate on the Plan B funds and other kind of initiative. So just 1 year ago, seems like a lifetime, but it was exactly the June of 2024. We created a Plan B network company, which is a for-profit company that I created with Tether, Fulgur, and the French team, the Couvre Bitcoin, which is a team that created the largest Bitcoin educational content ever open source on GitHub. So you could find hundreds of tutorials on courses in several languages. So they made an amazing job. So I acquired them, and we got Tether and Fulgur putting money, and I created this company just to basically coordinate this Plan B stuff going on. There was a personal reasons for that, because we were just moving to Lugano. So for us, making Lugano the epicenter of Bitcoin was interesting. I wanted to move to education, away from consulting to education. So the summer school, this kind of stuff was basically good. And I find the brand very fascinating, because the positioning of the brand was not very adversarial, not like anarchist or something. It was like something like very honest and very sweet at the same time. It was like, you have the plan A, the mainstream, based on centralization, no privacy, very short-lived hypes and stuff like that. We just want to do the plan B. The plan B is privacy focused, resilience focus, decentralization focus, and we try not to skip the hype and to cut through to get to the signal beyond the bullshit. So that's a different style. If the plan A works for you, that's great, keep it. But maybe you need a plan B. And that was a very effective way to interact with the universities, the institution. We're not telling you to stop doing private blockchain, but maybe you need a plan B. Just in case. It was a very effective. I love the brand with the B of Bitcoin. It goes also, I love the formula in Lugano, the forum, that goes beyond Bitcoin, not in the sense of shitcoins, but in the sense of stuff which is not Bitcoin related at all. Like there were panels about Tor, about BitTorrent, about Hole Punch, about all these other technologies. There were panels about free speech with the family of Julian Assange, not strictly related to Bitcoin. So it was finally not Bitcoin only anymore, because it was not Bitcoin only, but it was not going into crypto or blockchain. They were bypassing crypto and blockchain to go to free speech, freedom technology, mesh networks, satellites, different stuff. I love the brand so much that we created this company, and then that is where I trapped Mir with the gym. I was your gym friend, basically.
Yeah,
so
you were my gym friend.
I trapped you to come to train in the gym, and then she fell in love with meeting all the Bitcoiners again, and we recreated something like the thing we described before that we did in Milan, in Lugano. Now it's more powerful in a way, because our partners are Tether and Fulgur, which are like superpowers, and we have the blessing of the city of Lugano in Milan. We just rented an office, but the city of Milan didn't care. But the city of Lugano is trying to do Bitcoin payments. Of course, it's a political organ, so it's inefficient in many ways, but they're trying. They give us a free pass to talk with the universities, institutions. So it's a very nice, and the size of it is not like El Salvador is a nation state. Even if it's small, it's still a nation state with a lot of size problems, scale problems. Like a city is something closer that you can really. We go around.
The other day we were just like filming a lesson for the Plan B business school, and we film and we do the lesson just like I don't know, explain it
in a window on the street.
In a window on the street, and the mayor were just walking with the dog, while we were filming. They were just
hey, mayor,
hey mayor.
You can't plan that.
Yeah, you can plan that.
Super,
but it
human,
happens. It happens in Lugano, small city,
with a lot of proximity.
Yeah.
So now what is Plan B? Plan B is a galaxy of different initiatives. We don't control them all, but they are unified by this kind of brand. And the Plan B Network is a company that is trying to coordinate and organize this activity, divided between education and academy, which is what Roxy from the Couvre Bitcoin team is directing. physical,
the
platform,
online courses,
physical courses, university research, PhD.
There's
we work
a lot going on.
We work with University of Turin, Polytechnic of Turin. We created a Bitcoin and Lightning master course in the master school. Then we are doing the same in NTUT, University of Taipei. This something similar in George Washington University in DC. Something similar with MIT, possibly, we're discussing. So that's going very well. And we do the business school, the tech school, the summer school, the winter school, a lot of education activity, and that's Roxy. Then there is the part about physical buildings, physical hubs. Mir is in charge of that, and the idea is to coordinate different physical buildings where people can meet, because we think, and she thinks, and we think that it makes the difference. It's really something. One thing is just to coordinate online, and one thing is to be in the same building, like she said, to go out at lunch, and then some ideas that are starting to circulate. So the plan is to start from this building in Lugano, which is amazing, and to replicate that.
Yeah, Lugano is basically our prototype and our focus at the moment, because it is the first one and is growing so well at the moment that we want to continue doing that, and with that experience exporting that to other places. Actually, in the meantime, we have the inauguration of the Tokyo base in Japan. So there is another hub that is already working there, and Turin is soon to be ready. So, but I think for 2026, again, the focus will be more on Lugano. And then the idea is just like creating a network of places and hubs. And you, as a Bitcoiner, you travel and you have a membership and you can travel internationally. That's the goal, of course. That's the dream. And you can meet other Bitcoiners. You can find the same services, and you can find a sort of a citadel. I love the idea of having a small citadel with the most services we can provide, not only our co-working, but the gym, eventually a place, in Lugano we are discussing a place for meditation, or for example, I just started giving some singing and public speaking lesson from there, and so there could be like exactly like that, a small town for Bitcoiners where Bitcoiners can connect and help each other. So yeah, right now there is Lugano and Tokyo, soon Turin, and others are about to be.
And is this going to be like a member fee-based club, or how does this actually work? Because it has to be sustainable in some way, right?
Absolutely.
We are deciding.
Yeah,
so we started with the global membership. Yeah. But then the prices are so different, and kinds of services and business model that we don't really know. It's not like we work where you just create a franchising and people will just open up an office like you with the same prices. This is more like federating existing realities.
Yeah, also because there are some things that you can export. We also want to create a sort of a protocol of everything we are doing, creating a community or some basics. But other things are not replaceable. We need somebody from there understanding the culture, understanding the market, understanding the ecosystem. So in Lugano we have some guys that can do that. In Tokyo, there is Teruko, who is helping with that. In Turin, there are the Bit Polito guys and Filippo. So we really need that experience in that specific place.
Like Mir said, that 90% of the mission of that side of Plan B network is just making Lugano an interesting spot. And then we just keep in touch with these other apps, try to share experience, send speakers, so we just help out. For now, there is not a clear membership model ready. There is a plan, that's the dream. But before we impose any membership model, we want it to be meaningful. Otherwise, you just have, you take the membership, you go to Lugano, but you cannot get the same services that you would get in Madeira. It's completely different kind of universe.
I think it makes sense because, there's this members club called Soho House, I think it's called, and they've got locations all around the world in major cities. Mm-hmm. And that's really a social club of, I guess, social demographics, right? There's a certain social professional demographic, and they want to know that they can go to a certain place, there'll be certain types of people, certain types of services they can rely on. And Bitcoiners, I think there could probably be something similar to that, because we have so many confluence of interests, like, first of all, from diet to exercise to Bitcoin to entrepreneurship, investment, all that stuff, right?
That's the model. Yeah. But it will come later. We want to perfect the model, the blueprint of that in Lugano. When we really grok it, we want to start to partner with places that are already funded by Fulgur and or Tether, so they are already locked in, and it's easier. And then we will expand to federating franchising model with others. We wanted to do that last year, but we decided to take it very, very easy.
Oh yes, I was also forgetting about the fact that soon in Lugano there is going to be also a restaurant inside the co-working, meat-based, because of course Bitcoiners love meat. So this is, I think, something that we are trying to create the full experience for Bitcoiners. They are taking care of their health, their food preferences, how they spend time, how to want together with other people and protect their privacy too. So yeah, it's a different type of space from normal co-working.
Something more subtle, like the Satoshi Gallery artist. She created the statue of Satoshi, the disappearing statue of Satoshi Lugano, and then she created another one that she put in Zonte, in El Salvador. Then another one she put in the Tokyo base in Tokyo. So the idea is that we can also like have similar art styles. So
I think that has really grown on me. The first time I saw it, I'm like, okay. But the more I see it, especially in video form where you actually see the disappearance and the emergence, it's just so perfect for Satoshi, isn't it?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Satoshi disappearing, and also people putting their face there, so they are all Satoshis, and the position with the hoodie and is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's
really brilliant.
It's iconic. It's really grown on me. At first, I wasn't unimpressed, obviously, but I was like, okay, you know, sometimes it just...
Yeah, probably for us.
It takes time to make an impression on you, and I really love it now.
We were there for the unveiling of the first statue. This is why we already seen that in real life, and we were like, wow. So,
and it was positioned in a way in which there was the lake. It was very suggestive, unveiled.
Well, it's the privacy aspect of it, but also, you know, the Satoshi legend as well, having disappeared.
The disappearing founder.
Sure, and it's actually perfect. I really like it a lot.
Yeah, and also we live in a town where there is that statue, which is crazy if you think about a statue for Satoshi Nakamoto. Like,
I did go to Lugano, and completely blown away by the beauty of it, because it's really quite close to Lake Como, that maybe a lot of people don't understand because it's in a different country, right? But Lake Como and Lake Garda were one of my most memorable holidays that I took together. It was like a 10-day holiday, really therapeutic at a time that I was having quite a lot of troubles in my life, and that completely reset my mindset psychologically. And so I regard Lugano as an extension of my holiday there, in terms of, well, it's a lake city and the sheer beauty of it.
Yeah.
Around the mountains.
We moved there 1 year ago at this point. We love living there. You have so much, there's so much nature. It's so safe. The food is great, as much as Italy, but with efficiency in many regards.
Yeah, the best of two worlds. The quality of life, almost Italian, and organization, almost German.
And also 20 minutes from Italian border, so we can come back and forth to Italy. And so it's really a nice spot. I can see myself living there for plenty of years. And we have 2 small kids, so it's perfect for them. And we are very, very happy. And many people are relocating or considering to relocate to Lugano because the quality of life is very, very high.
Well, I was surprised at how close it was, because you land in Milan, you take a train ride, you don't change trains, and you cross a border, and it's only 45, 50 minutes maximum, right?
From Malpensa to Lugano, yes.
And importantly for people in the UK, train tickets are incredibly expensive in the UK. So an equivalent train ride in the UK could cost anything from like 80 to 180 pounds. In Milan, the train is like, is it 18 euros or something like that? It's nothing, and it's so convenient.
What you say, you will lose it with food in Lugano, but
honestly, I didn't mind.
You take the food from Italy too. You take the train
just
there.
Bring some food from Italy.
Some food.
I enjoyed it. My only request, please, just move it back a little bit into a warmer month because it's in October, right?
I know.
And
we can't.
We had great weather.
I know.
I've noticed the subsequent years it's been very grey and cloudy.
Yeah, there is a reason for that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we cannot move it.
Lugano is basically flooded of tourists for the summer season, for the good season, and then it dies off after the season becomes rainy, because it's still beautiful but clearly less attractive. So the Major Lugano explicitly requested don't come to compete with the plenty of touristic activities in Lugano in the good season, but come to bring something when the season is not that good. So it's at the end of October is a moment in which we may have good weather, but we may not. It's a risk that we are taking because it's out of the city.
The hotels are empty. Otherwise, Lugano doesn't have the capacity for all the people coming from all over the world. So that's a problem.
But I really enjoyed it. It's truly beautiful. And if you just get days that are not rainy, it's beautiful. It's perfect. It's actually perfect.
I was just like the last 2 years were like raining like crazy. And I was like, oh my God, it doesn't rain that much usually, so it's very sunny as a city, and I was like, I cannot show my city, my new city to people. I would love to. So
the catch is that you have to come every year, so you will average out
the first edition, the weather was perfect.
Yeah, first edition was amazing.
First, like amazing. We had
second was like
terrible,
a thunderstorm.
Last year we had something in the between.
In the middle.
It was more raining.
The reason why I say that is, now I'm doxxed, but when I wasn't doxxed, I don't actually go to conferences. Like the Prague conference 3 years ago was the only one that I actually attended. And that's when I said to you that I think I met you and I sat next to you and I wasn't sure, but and I'd sort of loiter around, in Lugano, meet people on the side, that sort of thing. And I'm like, well, if the weather wasn't good, what the hell would I do there, right? I'm not really interested in conferences, and I don't want to be a speaker. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe now some of my obligations will change.
Many people told us that the beauty of the Lugano conference is the fact that the town is small. So if you hang around, even around the conference, you're going to meet Bitcoiners all the time for
not just Bitcoiners, probably your favorite Bitcoiners. You'll get to speak with them because it really is an intimate. It's a small city, and the conference reflects the intimacy of the city as well.
Yes. Yeah. And Lugano is, I'm biased, we are biased, but it's not bad even with the bad climate. The lake under the rain has some poetry to it that is nice.
Yeah, okay. But still, I would prefer...
It's better with the sun.
Mir, Giacomo, it's a great pleasure. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed meeting you both properly this time, Mir, because I think I sat next to you at the Prague conference, but this time it was so nice to actually sit and officially meet you guys as the doxed entity behind this account. And it's been a pleasure meeting the charming and very affable Giacomo Zucco.
Not so toxic.
And thank you once again for coming in and meeting with me.
It has been a pleasure.
For us as well.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Thanks, guys.